The act of being known and perceived, when done irresponsibly, is one of the most oppressive and limiting acts on the human soul. Yet when you are known and seen properly as who you are, it's the exact opposite. It's liberation, freedom, and creativity. Perceiving is not as passive as we usually think it is. Christ himself mentioned the significance of the very act of looking. How we choose to perceive and portray others is a deeply psychological, philosophical, and cultural act that influences our lives and identities. In many fields such as critical theory, psychoanalysis, and philosophy, this active perception is termed the gaze, and the gaze has now been used in a lot of modern analyses of paintings, cinema, and literature. For example, the art critic John Berger commented on European nude paintings that you painted a naked woman because you enjoyed looking at her, put a mirror in her hand, and you called the painting vanity, thus morally condemning the woman whose nakedness you had depicted for your own pleasure. The gaze reminds us that as readers and spectators, we are not passive observers of art, but we are active participants. This is especially true of European art, where linear perspective is predominantly used, thus creating the whole work of art around the fixed point of the spectator. So regardless of what's happening in the painting or in the film or in the novel, the whole scene fundamentally exists for the eyes of the person gazing. So for example, when looking at the painting of David leering at Bathsheba, are we not just like David, unashamedly gazing at her nakedness as if it was for us? This specific type of gazing at the female form is what has been termed as the male gaze. It's the act of presenting women as sexual objects for the pleasure of male, typically heterosexual society. The woman's humanity as a subjective soul is cast aside, as she is limited to nothing more than her body. And because of how Western society is typically dominated by members from this demographic, the male gaze becomes the normalized, standardized societal perception of women, a practice that still runs deep in Western culture, and one that can even be found in Christian art, as it can depict women as temptresses, sinful objects, objects of desire, sites of shame, and passive figures. The discourse surrounding the patriarchal nature of the Christian church is long and convoluted, and I feel like I'd rather listen to that story from a female voice. But as I continued to read feminist theory for my own studies while also regularly reading the Bible, I became captivated with the ideas of love, intimacy, and nakedness in the poetry of Song of Solomon, and most significantly, I was captivated by the realization that this poem was written from a female voice. In addition, this poem wasn't written to be read in private and treated passively as we treat modern literature, but it was written for communal celebration, for active embodiment that breaks the wall between performer and audience, subject and object, as everyone becomes part of the art. And when I looked it up online, I wasn't alone in my feminist fascination. Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs, is one of the Old Testament's books of poetry, and its author or authors, despite the title, is actually unknown. The poem is a dialogue between a woman and a man, two unmarried lovers who express their emotional and physical intimacy with nothing held back, and I do mean nothing. The poem is unique for several reasons. First of all, if we're using the Protestant Bible, the Song of Songs is one of the only two books where God is never mentioned. Secondly, X of excess is the idiomatic way that Hebrew literature marks the superlative degree. The title literally means the greatest song, the Song of Songs. And thirdly, this is what caught my attention the most, it's the only biblical writing that takes on the first-person female perspective. In the Song of Solomon, the gaze between the woman and the man is a returned gaze, and this is the female gaze. It's a confident statement that I see you and you see me. There is no superior side that objectifies because both of us are the subjects. Feminist Bible scholar Phyllis Trible writes that in the Song of Songs, the roles reverse, authority vanishes, and perversion is unknown. The woman names the man, but her act is wholly fitting and good. Naming is love, not control, and that love marks a new creation. The Song of Songs affirms mutuality of the sexes. There is no male dominance, no female subordination, and no stereotyping of either sex. The woman is independent, fully the equal of the man. Her interests, work, and words defy the connotations of second sex. Unlike the first woman, Eve, this one is not the wife. Her love does not include procreation. At times, the man approaches her, and at other times, she initiates their meetings. The woman actively seeks the man. Upon her bed, she desires him. She rises to search in the streets and squares. Her movements are bold and open. She does not work in secret or in shame. She asks the night watchman, "Have you seen him whom my nefesh loves?" Finding him, she clasps him securely. They treat each other with tenderness and respect, for they are sexual lovers, not sexual objects. They neither exploit nor escape sex. They embrace and enjoy it. Both are naked, and they are not ashamed. As equals, they confront life and death. Love is the meaning of their life, and this love excludes oppression and exploitation. It knows the goodness of sex, and hence it knows not sexism. Sexual love expands existence beyond the stereotypes of society. In his discussion of the male gaze in nude art, John Berger also discussed the difference between nudity and nakedness. To be naked is to be oneself. To be nude is to be seen naked by others and yet not recognized for oneself. A naked body has to be seen as an object in order to become a nude. The sight of it as an object stimulates the use of it as an object. Nakedness reveals itself. Nudity is placed on display. To be naked is to be without disguise. In the sexuality found in the Song of Solomon, the woman and man are truly naked and not nude. They are vulnerable and intimate in ways that share each other's humanity instead of limiting it, because the female gaze is reflective. This isn't to say that Song of Solomon is a feminist writing. That would be putting modern concepts into ancient literature. But that doesn't mean that it can't inspire us as a work of art to help us understand how to live in the modern world. Now, feminism and religion are deeply political and cultural topics, so I apologize for speaking rather tamely, opinions-wise, but I really wanted this video to appeal and be accessible for all sorts of people, no matter where you come from in terms of gender and religiosity. This video is far from being a complete breakdown of feminism and Christianity. There are still many alleyways and rabbit holes to explore, as well as larger issues of gender oppression. But I hope that this discussion can serve as a stepping stone for different types of people to benefit from these topics as much as I have. So if you like these sorts of videos and ideas, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.